So last night was awesome, if you were. Last night was the freeform class, and Erich played with his band. Usually it's just me and my little iPod. That was good. So if you came last night, thank you for last night. If you weren't able to come last night, he's going to come again. Not sure when, but he said, look, I just live in Santa Cruz. It's just an easy drive. I thought, yeah, right. Easy drive, easy drive. Love that drive, by the way.
Maybe we should go there.
We should what?
Get the bus over.
Should do what?
We should all go there.
Oh, go there.
There might be here, but maybe there too.
Take two. So remember, the theme that I've been trying to push lately, like there's a couple different branches to it. The main idea, I talked about this a lot on Tuesday, so this might be a little repetitive. It's repetitive anyway, if you've been coming. I've learned to be okay being repetitive, because as long as I'm talking about what I think is the important thing to be talking about, I don't care. You know, it's like, that's the thing to be talking about. The big point is that yoga is a lifestyle. In simple words, yoga means yoke. It's about your mind yoking with big mind. It's like using your mind to get online. And then living your life with the perspective you find yourself having when you're online. Like, that's it in a nutshell. It took 45 years to come around to getting it that succinct. 43 years. Use your mind to get online. And then live your life with the perspective you find yourself having when you're online. Yeah, well, how do I get online? And all you got to do is, like, again, the realization on this is that if you're conscious, and you are conscious, you've got to be conscious to even deny that you're conscious, okay? You're conscious. That's like step number one. It's sort of like the starting point on all of this. If you're conscious, and it took me a long time to come around to this, but if you're conscious, then your consciousness being specifically conscious. It's not just you with your own individual consciousness being conscious. Consciousness, big mind, is being conscious through you. And so all you got to do is, like, recognize the fact that you're conscious. Oh yeah, I'm conscious. Just sort of hang out with the fact, oh yeah, I'm conscious. And then listen for what the answer is about whatever you need to know. Where people tend to get into trouble is, like, thinking too much. You need to know something, you've got a problem you've got to deal with, and you draw on your memory, all your past experiences, your best calculations to come up with a good answer. And you'll come up with an okay answer if you do that. And the more life experience you'll have, then you've got a bigger reservoir of memory banks, from which to draw. But increasingly, you learn to not draw from your memory about what to do, and instead, think less, listen to big mind more, just silent-minded, desire to know whatever you need to know. Desiring to know whatever you need to know, gives permission for the knowing to flow in. So desire to know whatever you need to know, and then silent-minded, zip it. Wait for 0.34 seconds. And magically, the download flows in, and you'll find yourself having new inspiration about what to do. And as a lifestyle, the idea is to do that all the time. Or at least as much of the time as you can remember to do it. The idea is to do it wherever you find yourself being. At the moment you're here, 2 hours from now you'll be eating lunch. 4 hours from now you'll be picking the kids up. Wherever you happen to be, and it'll always be the new now, wherever you happen to be is where you need online knowing. And so in simple words, just remember to think less, listen more, and then give expression to what you find yourself intuitively knowing. And it feels sort of scary because, what if nothing comes in? Or what if I don't, But you practice, and you practice, and you practice, and you practice, and you listen, and you listen. And the big insight is that if you're conscious, you are consciousness, being specifically conscious. So it's not like you don't have to reach very far in order to hear the answer. Just sort of settle back and shut up. And it flows in. Okay, so that's the simplicity of it. It's do it all the time, is the idea. And when you're doing the yoga poses, and I'm calling this freedom style, freeform style, when you then do the poses, it's the same sort of thing. For beginners, you teach beginners what to do because they don't know what to do. They don't know their left foot from their right foot. They don't know if their kneecaps are up or down. And so you train them. But you're training them to not just embody certain alignments, which are helpful along the way, but to actually immerse yourself in the experience. As you immerse yourself in the feeling of the stretch, you'll find yourself intuitively beginning to fine-tune it. And so, in the poses, and especially during the freeform section, practice fine-tuning what you're doing. Just be clear that you've got options and choices about whatever the alignment is. And just sort of start customizing it. You'll find yourself just in your arm, 50 different little adjustments, which would take you an hour to verbalize. Or if some teacher was trying to explain everything, it'd be oh my God, You don't even want to hear about it. You don't need to hear about it. Though along the way, it's good to hear about it. It pulls you into the experience, but it becomes faster when it just starts becoming intuitive alignment. And the way to get good at this is you do poses that you're familiar with. You already know the basic pose. And as you're in the pose, just wherever it feels like you could be customizing a certain part, just figure out what the different choices are and fiddle around until you hit the one that's feeling like the one. And what you're learning to do is to trust your inner sense of what feels right to you and what doesn't. And you'll find that the stretches, the alignments get totally perfect for you. And so like I'm really into alignment, and like when I was in the Iyengar world, I loved all the precision and their ability to verbalize it. I love precision of alignment. But like the next step is where the precision becomes intuitive and where you're not dictating how it should be. Like in the living moment, you don't know, you can't know in advance what the perfect note for your hand will be. Not until you're in there will it go, oh yeah. And then 2 seconds later, it'll morph into something else. But rather than just sort of mindlessly wiggling around, like learn specific alignments, and then start like deliberately fiddling with your options and choices. And let the inner feeling guide you more and more and more. Does this make sense?
Yes.
It's advanced, though it's not difficult. But it's sort of like where all the instruction leads. You don't have to be super flexible to do this. You just be however you are, and you customize your alignment. Now, if I was in somebody's class and I surrender, I do what they say. I'm there to learn. And if someone is saying, pull your kneecaps up, yeah, okay, pull the kneecaps up. If I don't like it, I won't do it later when I go home. But you know, like I surrender, I try what they say, see if it works for me. And it's interesting to like surrender to the human teacher because it helps circumvent or override your conditioning. And so you override your conditioning by listening to the human teacher's instructions. You do what Simon says. And then you start going beyond the human teacher. And you start listening to Big Mind, which is your mind, about what to do. It'll feel very similar, though, to listening to the human teacher, because what it requires is the willingness to let go of your conditioning, your impulse to do something, and just sort of pause for a second and just let the new impulse come through. Anyway, if you get the hang of this, your practice gets totally fun. Your alignments will get like perfect for you. I was doing perfect alignment according to the human teacher for years and kept getting hurt. You know what I mean? Because I was sort of like forcing my body to be in a place that seemed like where it should be. Not again. Anyway, so first you listen to the human teacher in order to learn the basics. And then good human teachers start telling you to listen to Big Mind. And Big Mind is your mind. So it's not like you're really listening to anything other than you. You're learning to trust into the consciousness that is erupting as you. And you learn it in the poses where it's an easy context. And then, yeah, to the best of your ability, like, be the yogi all day long. Listening to big mind online. And you don't have to do anything fancy to get online. If you're conscious, you're online, that's huge. Do you get how huge that is? If you're conscious, you're already connected. And you blow it by then making up your own mind about what you think you should do instead of surrendering, listening. And so get smart. Don't make up your own mind anymore. Make up your own mind to always be listening. And when you listen like that, it's going to move you in ways that you wouldn't have anticipated, often in ways that you think you won't like, and you'll go, no way. And you don't have to do what it says. You don't. But increasingly, you learn that, insisting on your point of view is what gets you into trouble. And therefore, silent-minded, tune in again. What would you have me do? I want to do what you would have me do. What would you have me do? Thy will be done is what it comes down to. And then the three main practices are sitting quietly, where you really get online. See, it's weird now to even say that, where you really consciously become aware that you're connected. You meditate. You asanate, you do the poses, you get good at following inner guidance. And then all day long, wherever you find yourself being, listen, and just go with the flow. It'll feel like you're surfing the flow. And the flow flows. So you're not going to be stuck anywhere. Silent-minded whenever it occurs to you. You won't go unconscious. You'll become more conscious. And the more conscious you get, the more wisdom flows in. And you find yourself knowing what to do. It's cool. It's totally cool. Silent-minded. Get online. Silent-minded. Get online. Okay. Thank you for coming today. If I haven't said that yet, I don't think I've said that yet. Just for a couple minutes. Sit down or lie down. And watch watch what you do to get yourself comfortable so that you can settle into this for a couple minutes without feeling like you've got to squirm out of it because you're not comfortable. Wriggle your seat. Grow tall. Put a little wobble into it just to remind yourself to relax. Let the top of your head open. You open the crown chakra. It helps you be receptive to cosmic consciousness. And then just relax down through your body. Practice settling into it. And nothing special, nothing dramatic. Just be aware of the fact that you're conscious. As consciousness, you're conscious of sounds, smells, feelings in your body. Notice that the things that you're conscious of are constantly changing. The sound of the traffic, it's always changing, but it's always something. It's always a sound going on. What you're aware of is always changing, but it's always something. But notice that the person in there that's aware of all of this is unchanging awareness. Always now. You're not the body that you're aware of. You're the awareness that's aware of. And get smooth. Start being aware of yourself as the aware presence. are now, get even